Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Priya Jadev. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Clallam County, a nonpartisan, issues-focused organization. I will be the moderator for tonight's candidate forum focusing on the Port of Port Angeles Commissioner positions. Voting, as the cornerstone of our democracy, is a primary focus of the League. Ensuring voters know how to register, how to track their ballots, what the issues are, and providing unbiased candidate information so informed decisions are possible is key to serving our mission. I appreciate you listening and taking an interest tonight. For the Port of Port Angeles Commissioner race, there are two open positions with one candidate running for position 1 and two candidates running for position 2. I would like to thank the two candidates taking the time to participate in this evening's forum. Colleen McAleer, candidate for Port Commissioner District Number 1, and Stephen Burke, candidate for Port Commissioner District Number 2. Please note that Nate Adkison may also appear on the ballot for Commissioner District Position 1, but has officially withdrawn from the race. Also, please note that Alan Sawyer is a candidate for Commissioner District Position 2, but has declined to participate in this forum. There are many volunteers focused on running a smooth forum. I'm grateful to all of them, including Sarah Morrison and the team from the North Olympic Library System. Thank you to all of you. We are recording this forum, and within the next few days, we will be posting the link to the recording on the League's website, www.lwvcla.org. We will also post the links on the League's Facebook page. Before we begin, a brief word about the role of a port commissioner. Washington state ports are public agencies that manage and develop infrastructure and economic opportunities in their regions. The Port of Port Angeles plays a critical role in economic development, supporting local industry, trade, timber, marine services, and small business growth. Transportation and infrastructure, overseeing waterfront facilities, marinas, terminals, and the William R. Fairchild Airport. Environmental stewardship, ensuring sustainable use of waterfront and upland resources. Public accountability. As an elected body, commissioners represent the public in shaping policies and investments that impact jobs, the environment, the quality of life in Clallam County. Port commissioners serve 6-year terms and make decisions that have long-lasting effects on the region's economy, environment, and community well-being. With that in mind, let's get started. Over the past few weeks, we have received thoughtful questions from the community. Thank you to everyone who took the time to submit questions. In cases where similar questions were submitted, we have done our best to combine them in a way that allows us to cover as many questions as possible on a wide range of topics in an unbiased manner and within the time that we have this evening. The forum format will have, for each candidate, a 2-minute opening statement in ballot order for each position. After that, we will move to the question portion where each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer, alternating who will answer first. At the end of the forum, each candidate will give a 1-minute closing statement in reverse order to opening statements. Before we began the forum this evening, we made sure that both candidates were able to see our timer. Now let's put that to use. For their opening statement, we have asked each candidate to tell us why they are running for the commissioner position, what their qualifications are for serving, and what their goals are while in office, including their top 3 priorities. We will start with Colleen McAleer running for position 1. You now have 2 minutes.
Great. Thank you so much, Priya. Yes, my name's Colleen McAleer, and I am running for District 1, Port of Port Angeles Commissioner. If elected, this will be my 4th term. There are actually, in our district, only 4-year terms. That changed in 2014. Why am I running? It's the same reason I ran in 2014, 2018, and 2022. It's because I love this community, and I have been really saddened to see the lack of economic opportunity for the kids that live in this area, and the direction that they want to pursue can't seem to be pursued locally. And so I want to be part of that change. What are my qualifications? I formerly served as on the staff at the port at the director level. And again, if I'm elected, this will be my 4th term as a port commissioner. I'm really proud of some of the achievements that we've made in the last couple years. We had exceptional intergovernmental collaboration with the lower LWVCLA tribe that put to bed a lot of issues that we had been dealing with since the early 2000s. We also have finished a runway overlay. We have been the state sponsor for a marine highway system similar to the I-5 highway, but it's called the Marine 5. And we recently supported Ebb Carbon in its efforts with Project Macoma locally in Port Angeles, which is an acidity reduction and CO2 removal. So my goals are to help the port achieve the $50 million of projects that they hope that they have funding for over the next 4 years. And I'll get into that further, I hope, going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen. Steve, Burke, running for position 2, you now have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Priya. I appreciate it. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on. I think it's a valuable thing that they do for our community. Sometimes it's hard to know who the people are that are running, and this is a great opportunity to do that. I am running for re-election for District 2 Port Commissioner because I want to continue what we have done in the last 10 years since I've been on, by growing living wage jobs in our community and by investing port resources and expanding the areas that we have influence on. And that's a lot of what is marine trades industry and also supporting the natural resources industry. I am also running to successfully get over the finish line the ability to have scheduled air service. That's been on the top priority of our list since I've been on. And I am hoping in the next 4 years, hopefully shorter, that we'll actually get that over the finish line. And I also want to continue to do the good work we've done on completing the much needed environmental cleanup that has needed to happen in our community. We did the environmental cleanup for the Cape Life site, and we're currently in the design phase of the Western Harbor cleanup. And so one of the roles we can serve very well in is taking brownfield sites in our community and converting them into productive use by doing the environmental cleanup. And we do that very well. My goals, those are my goals. And so why I'm running are those goals. And I believe I'm qualified because I've been a port commissioner for the last 10 years. I serve as the executive director of the Shore Aquatic Center. And I think I've shown that I can bring valuable things to our community. I think that's a demonstration of that. And I've also served on the board of the Economic Development Council and also the Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you both for your opening statement. The first set of questions for the candidates this evening relate to mission and accountability. The port's mission is to bring people, resources, and industry together to foster economic prosperity and living wage jobs. In your view, how successful has the port been in fulfilling this mission, providing some examples? What would you do to strengthen this mission? Mr. Burke, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
One of our missions is to ensure that the businesses in our community have the resources they need to be successful. And I think we have shown over time how we can support both the natural resources industry by providing the log yard and the marine interface so they can bring in supplies and export products out from our harbor, as well as I think we've shown in the maritime area that we can provide some of the very large capital commitments that need to be done so you can do marine trades in our area. And I think those are the two biggest examples that I've seen us do that really support and grow the local economy and our local businesses that we want to see grow and thrive.
Thank you. Ms. McAleer, you now have 90 seconds.
Yes, thank you. So we work together to create this mission statement, and it's all about trying to create high wage jobs for the people that live in Clallam County already. We've been fairly successful in attracting some new businesses. Brooks Marine is an example. They're going to be expanding their footprint at the waterfront. They build the aluminum boats. As I mentioned before, Ebb Carbon is another one that's doing some innovative things. We're really excited about our work at the Marine Trade Center, that we're redeveloping that 18 acres where we expect that will be able to create high wage jobs for people within our community. And, as Commissioner Burke mentioned, the air service, that's critically important. And I think working with Citizen Air, we're going to be successful in doing that, especially if we can get the essential air service designation from the FAA. That will definitely enable us to be successful in that space. So those are things I'm proud of, and I really enjoy working with the port staff, that we have a great port staff today. From when I came on board, a dozen years ago, we are light years ahead, and I'm really proud of the team we have at the port today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so for question 2 in this section, how will you ensure transparency and accountability to the public in your decision-making as a commissioner? Ms. McAleer, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
I always lean towards transparency. We have choices where we can frequently decide to discuss matters behind closed doors, but I'm always pushing the port staff, our attorney, and my fellow commissioners to say, let's talk about this openly. We can choose to do it behind closed doors, but why not? And let's as Sherry Kidd said to me one time, let's wear your big girl pants and be able to speak about some tough decisions, some tough conversations in public. And I think we regularly do that. We certainly always follow the Open Public Meetings Act, but we also lean towards, let's have these conversations in public. And if people don't like our decisions, they can certainly come and talk to us about that. But typically, we've been very well supported. We actually won an award from a statewide group for our transparency and our processes that we have been following over the years.
Thank you. Mr. Burke, you now have 90 seconds.
It's very hard to expand on that because I think when we developed our mission statement, transparency was a priority. And I think you can see that in our website. We publish our financials monthly, and you see them when we see them. And we also record our meetings. We do our public meetings as much as we can. There's times that we have to do executive sessions when we're doing things related to negotiations so we can get the best bang for our buck for the taxpayers. But everything else we do right in public, and we put everything on our website. So you don't even have to do a public records to get things from us. Almost everything we have is on our website. And that makes it easy for people to get the information they need. And so I think that shows our priority for transparency, and it helps the public to be able to engage with us because we want the public to know what we're doing because we're doing great things.
Thank you. The next set of questions focus on the area of economic development. How should the port balance supporting traditional industries like timber and shipping with attracting new industries? Mr. Burke, you now have 90 seconds to answer this question.
That's a great question. And if you drill back of why they developed ports in the first place, is to ensure that not one industry monopolizes the waterfront. And that's why they develop ports, is to make sure one industry doesn't control it all. And I think the port has done a great job in balancing the natural resource industry that needs access to the waterfront, as well as the marine trades that needs access. And now we have what Commissioner McAleer was saying, we have Ebb Carbon on the waterfront doing a carbon capture business that will help reduce the carbon in our ocean. And so I think we've done a good job. It's a continual, it's not static. It's not like you've arrived. It's a continual balancing adjustment to ensure that all of the industries are supported and have access either to the waterfront or to our airport or to any of the resources that the port has.
Thank you. Ms. McAleer, you now have 90 seconds.
Yes, thank you. So I've been doing this work for about 20 years in one form or another, and I have tried to personally recruit businesses to come to our community. And I've learned over the years, it's all about the assets that you currently have and what can you leverage. We are not going to be the next site for Microsoft. I have tried, I have knocked on people's doors, I have thrown out pitches to decision makers, but they really look at why would we go there when we could go next door where we're already located? We just expand locally. And I totally understand that. What we do have is we have a deep water port that we should be fully leveraging and barging assets that we will be fully leveraging. And we also have, we live in one of the fastest growing areas for trees globally. And so we have a particular kind of tree that's here that we need to be innovative and looking at the types of value-added products that we can create here using those particular types of trees. And that's been our focus. That has been what we've been working on. And so we are taking our legacy industries like maritime and forest products, but we're adding innovation to it. And that's how we're attracting new businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. So for our next question, what strategies would you use to support small business development and downtown revitalization, including partnerships with organizations such as the new Waterfront District? Ms. McAleer, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
So our mission is really about creating assets that can be leased to a for-profit business. When it comes to revitalizing the downtown area, we don't own the downtown property. We own industrial property that's further to the west. So we can be very good partners with them, but it is not our role to do that. I think the Visitors Bureau and the chamber and the other organizations, the Downtown Association that's doing a fabulous job, they are the leaders in that, and they are experts in it. We do have our Director of Economic Development, Caleb McMahon, serving on that board, and he does a fabulous job in promoting their work. And we have been providing support to them for several years now. So we want them to be the experts in that space and we want them to lead in that area, but we absolutely do support them in ways that they see that we can.
Thank you. Mr. Burke, you now have 90 seconds.
Having been part of the chamber board, along with you, Priya, for quite a while, I was part of the process of developing the waterfront district. And I think the port's role in that could be if we could develop industry on the waterfront that's bringing in good paying jobs to the waterfront and maybe several hundred jobs to the waterfront, they're going to need a place to go get lunch. They're going to need a place to go get dinner. Our best role is to create the traffic that could support and make the waterfront thrive. And our role in doing that is bringing jobs to the waterfront, and that we can do. That's right in our wheelhouse.
Thank you. So the next set of questions focus on environment and permitting. What are the major permitting challenges facing the port, and how would you address them? Mr. Burke, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
That is about a 15-minute answer. The permitting environment right now for us is complicated. It's complicated because we have property that's both has a jurisdiction of the federal government through the FAA, through state government, and through local government. And thankfully, we have a staff that has gotten very good at navigating that permitting process. And they are the experts. And what we've learned through the process of trying to bring Amazon onto the airport property is we need to really take a leading role with potential customers to walk them through the permitting process, because we're used to it. You'll have somebody who's never been part of a permitting process that just gets overwhelmed by it. And so what we can do as part of our role is to walk them through that as a potential tenant to get them to be successful through the permitting process, because sometimes that's the hardest part of setting something up is getting through the permitting. And we can do that. And we've done that successfully over and over again. We just need to make sure that we provide that to all the interested parties.
Thank you. Ms. McAleer, you now have 90 seconds.
Commissioner Burke did a great job of explaining a lot of the issues. We also, of course, build things in the water, and it is much, much more difficult to get a permit and to build things in the water because of the environmental concerns and the delicate nature of in the marine environment. So, and there are layers and layers of permits and agencies that need to be that we have to cooperate with, that we need to work with. And but our staff has gotten really good at this. Our director of engineering and the environmental manager have over the years been able to get the permits that we needed in the water, and they know how long it takes. So we don't we ensure that we have plenty of lead time when we look at our projects, and we also do many projects under one permitting process. So that's something that has been a big win for us, is that we took multiple projects and put them under one umbrella.
Thank you. So for the next question, what role should the port play in addressing environmental concerns, including climate change, sea level rise, and habitat restoration? Ms. McAleer, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
So our commission and our staff make sure everything that we do is done in an environmentally sustainable way. We don't propose projects that would harm the environment. It's a condition that we operate in always in everything that we do. So as an example, we've just we're just purchasing new equipment. We received, I think it was $10.5 million from the EPA to upgrade our shore power, which is, instead of having ships come in and use their diesel fuel when they're at port, they instead are hooking up to electrical power. And we've also been buying zero emission equipment. We are purchasing electric vehicles, and we are doing a lot of habitat restoration as well. So it's just part of the work we do, and it's a value that we all hold dearly.
Thank you. Mr. Burke, you now have 90 seconds.
I will give you two examples of what we've done. One of them is we were involved as a port at the legislative level in the state of Washington to develop the law that would require ships, when they're at port, to plug into shore power. Ships generally will run their generators while they're parked at the terminal, and that's just burning diesel fuel, and those generators on those size ships are very big. And we've worked with the state on legislation to require them, if they're there for over, I believe it's 2 days, that they need to plug into shore power, and that reduces the greenhouse gas emissions that the ships have while they're here. Another example is we've purchased old fuel dump and fueling properties that the gas and petroleum industry had in our town, and we've been cleaning those up. We, as a government entity, we have access to cleanup funds that the private industry doesn't have access to. And so we're able to clean things up in a much more rapid, successful way than the private industry can. And then we can take those lots and put them into productive use.
Thank you. The next question is a multi-part one about infrastructure and resilience. What role should the port play in emergency management? For example, preparing for a large earthquake that could cut off access to the peninsula, and what infrastructure investments, if any, are needed? Mr. Burke, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
Well, I think we take on a partner role. We're not the first responder emergency response. That is the county. But we can support the county because we have a lot of resources that the county may not have. One of the main resources is our airport. It's one of the most geographically and geologically stable places to put emergency response equipment and assets. And so making our airport available for that is important. We work very closely with the state and federal and also the county's emergency operation plan. I think a perfect example of that was when the fuel tanker truck went off the road and into the stream. The first people able to respond to that were using port supplied equipment to able to boom and to try to prevent any of that contamination going further down the stream, because of our marinas, we had the equipment available to boom to try to prevent that. And we were some of the first people on the scene to that, even though it wasn't really on our property. But it was part of that partnership with the county to respond, along with the city, to respond to emergencies, whether it's related to us or not.
Thank you. Ms. McAleer, you now have 90 seconds.
Yes, thank you. As Commissioner Burke said, the airport is a critical piece of infrastructure for our community in the case that we have a tsunami or a major earthquake. And so we are ready to support our partners in the emergency management folks as they deal with that situation. And we've hosted events and training events. Some of the things we need to work on is if there is a major earthquake, we are going to need to have microgrid energy opportunities, and we really are limited on that today. And we've been told it'll be 3 weeks before we can expect support from the federal government if a major earthquake hits. Also, another thing is that we don't have enough fuel here. We will run out of fuel in 3 days' time on the peninsula. So the hospital, for example, won't have fuel to operate. So we are looking at potentially having a bunker location at the airport for fuel so we can provide fuel to our community in the case of an emergency.
Thank you. The next couple of questions are about fiscal responsibility and long-term planning. What government funding sources does the port rely upon, and how are current or planned projects affected by federal or state budget changes? Ms. McAleer, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
So 10%, about 10% of our total income is from local property taxes. 90% typically is from the leases that we have and the revenue that we generate as a port. So we typically are not terribly reliant for our operating expenses from federal or state funds. However, we've been really smart because after COVID, with all the funding that came through from the federal government, we hired some people, some experts, so that we could go after these grants and that were, once in a generation, once in a lifetime opportunities. We have an exceptional grant writer on staff that has been able to win over $50 million in grant funding. So we knew this was a one-time opportunity, but we did hire a great team, and they pursue, we're punching way over our weight, I'd say. And so we were smart in ensuring that we had a terrific team that could win some of this grant money when the opportunity was available.
Thank you. Mr. Burke, you now have 90 seconds.
Commissioner McAleer said everything I wanted to say. But I will say that fiscal responsibility has been a priority, at least for as long as I know, since I've been there and Commissioner McAleer has been there. One of the things that we're able to do is build up a reserve, so when those grant opportunities arrive and they need matching funds, we have those matching funds available to secure those. I think we're currently managing $52 million in grant funds. Well, that took about $5 million of our own money in order to secure that. And so we had the reserves to do that. And that only happens when you're fiscally responsible year over year to only spend what you should be spending. And that allowed us to take full advantage of the grant opportunities, because those will go away. I don't think these are going to just keep going like this. But while they're here, we're going to take full advantage and try to get as much capital improvements done as we possibly can.
Thank you. Looking ahead, what are the biggest long-term planning challenges the port faces, and how would you address them? Mr. Burke, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
Our biggest long-term obligation is our waterfront. Owning a waterfront is very expensive, especially when a lot of it hangs over the water. Our marine terminals, our Terminal 1, where you see a lot of the really large boats tie up to, it has 4,000 piles that are going into the water. All of them, except for several hundred, are creosote. Those need to be replaced at the cost of a couple $1,000s each. That starts to add up very quickly over time. And so one of the things that the staff has done a really good job is forecasting. We forecast 50 years out, because some of our assets that we have to take care of, if we don't keep on track and do it a little bit at a time, it would get so overwhelming that we wouldn't be able to keep those in operation. And so we forecast our capital projects in a 5-year, 10-year, 30-year forecast. So we make sure that we can continually take care of the assets that the taxpayers have given us.
Thank you. Ms. McAleer, you now have 90 seconds.
That's the biggest issue right there is our terminals. And, they were built 100 years ago, and they are in the water and they decay. And in-water work is incredibly expensive. There aren't that many companies that can do this type of work, and they charge a lot. So, we just recently, I think, did the math to replace 3,000 pilings was $178 million. And there's no way that we will be able to afford that. And so as we look into the future and look at the viability of those marine terminals that are incredibly important to our local economy. And we have got to, we're already looking at Terminal 1, that's the older of the two, and there's areas where heavier equipment can't move on portions of the terminal. And so we are, looking at how do we minimize this and what do we do going forward? Because there's not an easy solution, and we're going to have to limit what we're doing at our terminals going forward in future years. And we know that.
Thank you. Since we have a little time, I have two broader questions for you. So for this first question of the broader ones, the port oversees the airport, marinas, and waterfront facilities. Which of these areas do you believe most needs investment or improvement, and why?
So is that back to me?
Sorry, Ms. McAleer, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
Okay. Thank you. Well, our airport is usually funded at 90% by the FAA. So that's fairly well cared for. Our marinas are getting older, and we have to replace the floats on the west side of the boat haven, and that's going to be very expensive. And then at the John Wayne Marina, we're going to need to replace all of those floats in, I believe it's 2034. So we're planning for that. For several years at the John Wayne Marina, right after it was built in the late 80s, we didn't have many mortgage tenants there, so it did not make very much money. And it's going to be incredibly expensive to replace all those floats. We know this is an important asset for the community, and we don't want to have to charge too much. And so we're trying to weigh that very carefully. I already talked about the waterfront, our terminals. That's what we're most concerned about, is being able to keep those terminals up, and because of the expense associated with it.
Thank you. Mr. Burke, you now have 90 seconds.
It seems to be critical resources are not money makers. And our airport, if we break even, we're thrilled. On the marinas, if we break even on the long term, we're thrilled, because they're very expensive assets. And the marina year over year looks really good on paper, right up until you need to fix everything. And then it takes all the money you've ever earned plus some to refloat the marina. And we're doing it at the west side. We're getting a lot of input from the users of the marina, and we'll have a good design, and we'll be able to finance that, and the marina tenants will be contributing towards that loan payment, and we'll be able to do it. The good thing is we can do it, but there are very expensive assets, and you think things like an airport would generate a lot of revenue, but airports and marinas are very expensive. And if we can get them to just not be loss leaders, we're very excited about that.
Thank you. How should the port collaborate with state, federal, and tribal governments to advance regional goals? Mr. Burke, you have 90 seconds to answer this question.
Well, I think we do that day in and day out. We have a really good working relationship with all three of our tribes. We have projects going on related to all three of our tribes. We have the McAleer tribe. We're working on developing some barge infrastructure so they can take some of their natural resources off of their lands and bring them into Port Angeles. One of their most restrictive problems they have is transportation. It's just very expensive to get logs from the McAleer tribe to wherever they will be sold. And so we're working at barging for them. we're working with the Elwha tribe in doing our multimodal transfer facility that's right next to the Towitson site. And we've had a great partnership with the Elwha tribe on that. And we work in partnership with the Jamestown tribe inside the John Wayne Marina doing their aquaculture. They use part of their marina for their agricultural seed bedding for shellfish. And so, and we work great. I mean, we're lucky all our state legislators are from here. And so we have a really great relationship with them. We just met with all three of them last week. And so we have a really good relationship both with the tribes and with our state government.
Thank you. Ms. McAleer, you now have 90 seconds.
So we do have a lobbyist at the federal level that helps us with the FAA and works with our state delegation to Congress. And so we have strong relationships there. Whenever Senator Murray or Senator Cantwell come to town, they typically meet with port officials. And as Commissioner Burke said, we have a great relationship with our three legislators. And we actually have 4 tribes, Steve, in our county, not 3, but you forgot the Quileute. And we've been working with the Quileute tribe, trying to see if we could get barges into La Push. And then we also work with the Hoh tribe that is located in Jefferson County, but the Hoh tribe considers Forks their, that's their address on their mail. So we do, as Commissioner Burke said, we do a lot with our tribes. They're important partners, just as the city of Port Angeles and the county and the city of Sequim and Forks are. I think something different that we've been doing over the last 4 years or so is really trying to help the city of Forks and the West End improve their economy. We have some expertise on staff, and we lend that to those folks that don't have that expertise.
Thank you. That concludes our question segment. Candidates, it is now time for your closing statements, which will be in the opposite order of your opening statements. Candidate Stephen Burke, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Okay, I'm going to take my 1 minute to explain the we. One port commissioner can't do anything. The port commission as a whole can't do much. It's kind of like a 3-legged stool for the port to be successful. You need a good functioning commission. You need an executive director that understands what the port commission wants, and you need a staff that can carry out what the executive director and the port does. And so when we say we, it's all 3 of those together that makes the port function. And if you think the port's functioning well, then please vote for us. We would value your vote. I think we're running very well. And if you like what you see, then please vote for us.
Thank you. Candidate Colleen McAleer, you now have 1 minute.
Thank you. He said it very well. I asked for your vote. I ask that you vote for Commissioner Burke. And when Commissioner Beauvais is up for re-election, I hope she runs again, and I hope people vote for her. We are all really passionate about our roles, and we're very passionate about our communities and the port. And so we ask tough, hard questions, but we also respect one another and we respect our team. We've come a long way, as I said. This is a team that supports one another and that challenges one another and that loves to accomplish great things for Clallam County. So I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening to tonight's discussion. Thank you, candidates, for your thoughtful answers. The candidates have taken the bold act of running. Now it's our turn to do the voting. Two websites that may help you through the voting process are votewa.gov and vote411.org. If you are not yet registered to vote or know someone who isn't, but could be, we encourage you and them to go to the votewa.gov to register, now either online or by mail through October 27th or in person at your county courthouse until November 4th. If you're not sure about your voter registration status, you can check it on the votewa.gov website. If you want more information on the candidates, we encourage you to visit vote411.org to read the candidates' written responses to a variety of questions. Ballots will be mailed out October 15th and can be mailed in or placed in one of the many drop boxes throughout the county. General Election Day is November 4th, so please be sure to fill out your ballot and get it either in a drop box or in the mail. I'm asking everyone not only to vote, but also to talk with your friends, family, and neighbors about voting, and to make sure everyone has a plan to get their ballot in. Voter participation is the cornerstone of our democracy, yet turnout among voters under the age of 44 has historically been below 30%. That means an entire generation's voice is underrepresented in local decisions that shape our economy, environment, and community. Please encourage everyone to vote, and especially reach out to younger voters whose participation is essential for a healthy democracy. This forum has been recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted on both the League of Women Voters Clallam County website and Facebook page. Sorry about my lights, folks. Keeps going off. In a few days, you will see the recordings posted. Once we have it posted, be sure to spread the word among your friends who are unable to join us live so that everyone can be an informed voter. The candidate statement for the Port Angeles City Council Position 2 will begin at 7 o'clock this evening. Hopefully you will be able to tune in for that as well. Thank you again to our Port Commissioner candidates for participating in tonight's forum. Good evening, everyone.